Hey, it's Jan, and I'm here with another quick and easy beginner sewing project. These fabric wristlets are quick and easy to make. They are great for your keys, your key fobs, your earbuds, and even a small zip pouch. I'm going to show you a method that maybe you haven't seen before and give you lots of tips and tricks on how to make this process a lot quicker and easier. This is an awesome scrap buster project where you can use up fabric scraps that I know you've been saving, and they only take 10 minutes to make. So get out your sewing machine, gather some fabric scraps, and let's get started. Let's quickly go over the materials and things that you'll need. You'll need some fabric, and you can use your fabric scraps. I have gotten into my trusty little fabric stash that I have and pulled out a few colors that I think will work. And if you're lucky, you might have some scraps that are already cut out in strips. If you do a lot of quilting or binding or things like that, you probably have some scraps that are already cut. And you only need like 11 to 12 inches, depending how long you want your wristlet to be, by 1.5 inches wide. And you'll just use quilter's cotton. You'll need some webbing. You can use all cotton, you can use a mixed polyester webbing, you can use recycled webbing. This is 1-inch webbing, and you'll need to cut it to 11 inches or depending on how long you want your wristlet. I find 11 inches is a good length. You'll need a pair of fabric scissors, and if you want to cut your strips, a rotary cutter and a ruler make this process really easy. You'll need a few fabric clips, or you can of course use pins. You'll need the hardware for the end of the wristlet, and I will put the link in the description below where you can get this. I got a set of 40. It comes with the ring and the clamp. And you'll need the pliers that come with it. And this is one of the tips, is to use a bias tape maker. I have a set of these. There's a blue one, a yellow one, but this red one makes 1-inch binding strips. And you don't need to cut your strips out on the bias. You can just use the straight grain, which makes it really nice. Or you can use some scraps of your bias tape that you have made. I have a tutorial showing you how to make your own bias tape from Cute Prints. You might want to check that out. And here's another tip, is to use this Faultless heavy starch spray. This is key in getting that nice crisp folded edge that you need. And I find it helpful to secure the clamp with just a little bit of this B7000 glue. You can also use the E6000 glue or not use glue at all, but I find if you are going to use this wristlet for something that you are pulling maybe a lot on a backpack or something, that it may come out a little bit. So I find this helpful. And a little bit of fray check always comes in handy. You'll need your sewing machine and an iron. Take the webbing and make sure the ends are cut off at a right angle. I'm going to measure out 11 inches. And it's good to have a nice crisp edge and a square edge so it goes into that clamp correctly. And before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and put that fray check on. So while I'm sewing and moving this around, it doesn't fray, because this stuff frays really easy, especially if you're using a cotton webbing. And that can be drying while I cut out my fabric. Set that aside. Cut your fabric strip to the length that you want. I like to cut a little bit more to the length just to give me some leeway. We can trim that off later. So I'm going to cut it 12 inches. And cut it to 1.5 inches. I'm going to cut off those frayed edges. I have put down just a piece of wrapping paper. Thread it into your bias tape maker. Sometimes you have to take a pin to pull it through. And this is what the bias tape maker does, is it folds the ends over. Now, you could obviously do this without this. You could fold it in half, and then you fold it in half again, and then half again, and then press it. But this just makes it a lot smoother. I like to flip it this way, put my iron down, and pull it. And as you pull it, you can press it. Place it on top of the webbing, centered, and then clip it in place. We're going to take it to the sewing machine and top stitch down each edge. I have threaded my machine with the coordinating color for the top fabric and an off-white fabric for the bobbin. Put my presser foot down, and I'm going to use the edge of my presser foot for my guide. Turn my handle of my sewing machine so it brings the needle down to see where it's going to be. Now that's going to be too wide of a seam allowance, so I'm going to bring my needle up and change the needle position over to the right a little bit. Now if your machine can't do that, you can just adjust your presser foot so that center point is going to be 1/8 of an inch, and just eyeball it all the way down. Or you can place a piece of painter's tape along here, which will give you a straight edge. But we're not sewing a whole lot of fabric, so I'm just going to do that with my needle position. Bring my needle down. Maybe it needs to go a little bit over. Okay, that's good. If you want to add a label to your wristlet, I like to put labels on. A lot of you know that. And so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to place it where I want to sew it on. And take it to the sewing machine and sew all the way around. Now if you want to learn how to make your own labels, it's a really easy thing to do. I have a tutorial showing you how to do that. I'll put the link in the description below. Now we're ready to apply this clamp. I'm going to line up my edges and put a few clips in. Little prongs right here that clamp onto the fabric. So I'm going to put a little bead of this glue. And if you do have a front or a back, I'm going to make sure that that front edge is on the front. Get that ring out of the way. Make sure we're lined up and straight. And then give it a good squeeze. And that's all there is to it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. If you like my content, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to check out some other projects and tutorials, get on my website, youmakeitsimple.com, where I have my patterns and a lot of other fun DIY projects. Have a wonderful day, have fun sewing, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.